Hey guys, this is Mike Schoaf. This is for the EDSU 530 class. I'm going to be doing my presentation on one of these SEDI strategies from our lesson plans. Trying to figure out where I look on this darn thing. Okay. Bear with me, we've had some technological issues here. Okay, so to begin, let's see, have a look at the screen behind me. Let's see, this is what we are going to be looking at. So, the English proficiency level, intermediate to high. Let's see, again, there's me. Subject matter content, ELA, grade level 10. Let's see, we would be looking at ELD standards, one for bridging, grades 9 to 10, 1B6, reading closely literary and informational texts, and viewing multimedia to determine how meaning is conveyed explicitly and implicitly through language. Student learning objectives here are going to be, at the end of the lesson, students will be able to recognize and correctly interpret extended metaphor and other commonly used literary devices. And again, here are the standards and numbers for content objectives, language objectives, right there. All right. Now again, the reason that you are looking at a screen, on a screen, is, well, it's a bit of a long story, but this screen doesn't like to see that screen. So I've got to get nice and up close to it, which I just discovered, and frankly, we're running out of time for this assignment. So again, just bear with me a little bit, guys. Let's see. So, so the actual exercise that I would be doing here is not terribly interesting, but it is effective in what I've seen. It's a simple warm-up. So students would come into class. They need to be, calmed down a bit, go to their seats, and we're going to do a warm-up and kind of get things going there. So this will be an into SEDI strategy. Simple answering questions and then going over as a class kind of warm-up. So, that work. All right, so, I'm a teacher, and students come into the classroom. Hey, noise. All right, hey everybody, settle down, guys. We got a lot to get into today. You ready for the warm-up? Up on the screen, we've been talking about different literary elements and poetry. Today we're going to be going over Frost's poem, The Road Less Traveled, or The Road Not Taken. I'm going to tell you right now, it can be a ridiculous poem, not my favorite, but you're going to see it everywhere in pop culture, on probably every standardized test you ever take. And frankly, it's just a good poem to have a good background knowledge of. It will be useful to you in the future. So we're going to go over it today. Pretty straightforward, but I want you guys to pay attention. Really pick the poem apart and try to look for literary devices and really call them out when you see them, okay? All right. So, these questions would be on either a whiteboard, an overhead projector, whatever technology is available, smartboard, etc., etc. So the questions are, number one, what is the central metaphor here? What does it represent? Number two, what other literary devices do you notice in the poem? Find at least one, please. At least one. Number three, how do these devices affect the poem? So pretty simple, pretty straightforward. I just want to get these guys thinking about what we're looking at. And so ideally, I would have these questions and the actual poem here in front of them at the same time. That way they can just look back and forth, whether that's in the form of handouts or just having these side by side on the board, what have you. I want them to have access to both the questions and the poem. So, You know, you give the class, let's say 5 to 7 minutes. They are pretty straightforward, simple questions, and it's just to get them thinking. And we're going to go over all of it anyway. So I want to see effort, not necessarily, you know, 100% conclusions and thorough answers to these. All right, so wait 5 to 7 minutes, answer any questions, clarify, make sure that everybody understands the task, and once the time is up, go, okay, all right, guys, it is time to go over the questions. Everybody finished? If you're not finished, I'll give you another minute, but we need to get going here. All right, give another minute if necessary. All right. Let's get going, guys. Who can give me an answer to number 1? What is the main metaphor in this poem, and what does that metaphor represent? What kind of symbolism are we looking at? Go through there, give answers, check for comprehension, make sure and vary the people you're calling on, not necessarily just people who raise their hands. Try and encourage other people to speak, and go from there. And then take that once the lesson is actually learned and we've looked over a few of the literary devices. I'm sure you guys are all pretty familiar with this old poem. There's not a lot of major stuff here, but it's, you know, you can pick a few things out. There are a few different sort of lazy rhymes. You can talk about what type of rhyme that is. You know, there's really, really basic symbolism throughout. Yeah, and you could even, you know, you could talk about punctuation, cadence, that kind of deal if we were really into poetry. But as far as literary devices, there are a number of easy, simple ones they could pick out here that we could go over really, really quickly. So go over it as a class, do all that, and at the end we will we'll recap what we've gone over and lead that into today's lesson, which would then, I imagine, be about a more thorough look at literary devices, probably with something a bit more challenging than this. And yeah, that's it. All right, guys. Thanks for sticking in there. Apologize for the technological brainlessness tonight. All right.